Hey everybody, this video lesson is going to cover a pre-lab for lab number 7, the redox titration. You're going to be mixing together two reactants. One of them is potassium permanganate, KMnO4, and it presents itself in a deep purple. And the other substance is H2O2, and that's clear. The other substance that you're going to use as a part of this titration is 3 molar H2SO4. Now the reason the H2SO4 needs to be concentrated and be included in this lab altogether is it needs to be added to the titration to make sure it goes off without a hitch. Without it, you will have very poor results, and I'll show you an example of what a titration looks like with and without the acid. Quickly, I'm going to talk about the health hazards involved with this lab. First of all, this KMnO4 comes in a deep purple liquid, and the concentration is 0.02 molar, and honestly, it's not really that dangerous in the first place, and at that concentration, not much is going to happen to you. But what will happen is if you get it on your hands or on your clothes, it's going to stain it. Here's a picture of my finger. I was preparing the potassium permanganate back in the chemical storeroom, and I got a little bit on the counter, and when I put my hand down and looked up, my skin turned brown. This brown color is signature of a permanganate actually reducing from a +7 charge to a +5 charge or even a +3 charge, and so it comes out in this brown liquid. My skin's not actually damaged, it's just stained. So this will happen to your clothes if you get it on it, or your hands if you happen to get it on your hands. Now most of us have dealt with hydrogen peroxide before. It comes as a clear liquid, and at 3% concentration, that means it's not very concentrated. If you get it on like a hangnail or an open cuticle, it may sting but will not leave any damage to your skin. Finally, the 3 molar H2SO4 will definitely need to keep close track of that. It can be dangerous at that concentration, so if you get any drips on the table, make sure you clean it up with soap and water, and make sure that you let your teacher know. So now it's time to set up your titration. And the first thing I want to talk about is using a funnel to pour liquid into your burette. This picture right here should show you that when you pour liquid into the burette, always use a funnel. Otherwise, you're going to pour the liquid all over the place. So everybody has a funnel in their drawer. Make sure you use it. Now over here, once you get the liquid inside the burette, you'll notice that inside the liquid is quite dark. I talked about this in class a little bit, but it's nearly impossible to see the graduation marks along the side of the burette. And so when we measure our levels, I want you to measure from the top of the meniscus, not the bottom. And that's okay, because in this lab, we're just going to be calculating how much liquid gets used up. And as long as you measure from the top of the start line to the top of the end line, that's going to be the same amount as if you measure from the bottom of the meniscus on the top and the bottom. And so, just to repeat, we're going to measure from the top line in the beginning and the top line and where it ends, and subtract those to determine how much titrant has been used up. And finally, this picture shows the bottom or the nozzle at the end of the burette, and you'll see that there's a gas bubble in the end. The first thing you want to do is pull out a waste beaker from your lab station and put it under here and open this up, and you want to run some liquid through here so that there isn't a gas bubble. This is a cause for some air. This is measured volume, that's not actually liquid. And so throw that into a waste beaker. Make sure that the tip is completely full of liquid. That way you can ensure that the amount that you deliver is an accurate amount. Now we're going to talk about a couple of lab techniques. We're getting ready to start our titration, and you measure out one of your analate, in this case the H2O2, but you wanted 3 milliliters, but you overshot it. What you can do is actually use your pipette to suck some out rather than pour some out. This is going to save you time. Check out this little video. That way I ensure that I have exactly 3 milliliters by sucking some out and putting it back into the container. This will save you some time. So the first thing you measure out is your H2O2, and the second thing you measure out is your H2SO4, and you put them both in the same Erlenmeyer flask. You probably want to use your small Erlenmeyer flask because you don't need that much volume in this lab. So your 50 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask will be more than enough. And then it's time to begin the titration. So I've got another little video clip here to show you what it looks like when you add the titrant to the analate. So as you can see, the analate starts out as clear. This is going to be your H2O2 and your H2SO4 in one container, and I'm going to add a little bit of titrant to it, and you'll see what happens. You can see that it acts a lot like an acid-base titration. You add a little bit of the liquid to the clear solution and you swirl it, and the color disappears. You're going to do this a repeated amount of times until eventually you get a solution that goes pink and stays slightly pink, very similar to what you would observe in a acid-base neutralization with the indicator changing color. But in this case, the color is not due to an indicator changing color, but is due to the presence of an excess of the titrant. So this is, when you reach the end point, is when it starts as clear and you add a couple drops and it turns pink. And because it stayed pink, you're finished. Now you want to go ahead and go back to your burette and measure how much titrant was used. Again, you subtract how much you started with from how much you ended with, and that's how much was used. And then you can do the stoichiometry involved to do the calculation and calculate what the concentration of the H2O2, or the analate, is. Remember, the analate is the liquid that you started with in the bottom. The titrant is the stuff in the burette, the purple liquid. This last slide is going to talk about some common errors that I see in this lab. I'm going to show you two pictures. One picture is of a good titration, and the second picture is one that went wrong real badly. You'll be able to see very obviously. You can see in this titration that my end point was determined based on this real nice pink color. I stopped my titration once it went from clear to pink using just one drop of titrant. Now, the most common mistake I see in this lab is students forgetting to add the acid or not adding too much acid. As I mentioned earlier, the acid is necessary in the titration in order to carry the reaction to completion. If you forget the acid, what happens is a separate reaction happens, one that you don't want. If you don't include the acid, then you're going to get this black sludge. Here's a picture. So I put the second titration next to the first one, and the second one I did not use any acid. And take a look at this. It's black, dark, it's kind of gritty, grainy. It's actually just gross. It is 100% not what you want. So if you saw yourself doing something and you get this as a result, or even something that might be a little less black, but even like slightly tinted brown, you didn't do it quite right. As soon as you get this faint pink color, you know you did it right. And if you get anything that doesn't look like this, call me over and I'll tell you it's either good or you need to do it again. The general rule of thumb for this lab is for every milliliter of analate you use equal volumes of the acid. So if you use 1 milliliter of analate, you use 1 milliliter of acid. Or if you use 2 milliliters of analate, you use 2 milliliters of acid. Now, the concentration of the titrant is mixed up so that you should be able to get through at least 1, maybe 2 titrations in a burette. So if you're going to do more than 1, you want to keep your starting volume low. Now, this is a guided inquiry lab, so you get to decide how much you start with. But you want to get at least 1 milliliter, but not exceeding more than 3. So I'm going to give you leeway as to how much you use. But just remember, the more analate you use, the more titrant you're going to use up. And so that's just going to require more time to fill your burette after each time. If your burette runs out before you get to the end point of any particular titration, it's no good. You can't just add any titrant in that you want. You have to start it over. It needs to begin and end in one titration, not refilling the burette. So anyway, those are my tips and tricks to do well in lab number 7. Thanks for listening.